I'm Ed Glaeser. I'm the Fred and Eleanor Glimp Professor of Economics at Harvard, where I am also currently serving as chair of the Economics Department. Figuring out how to make the cities of the developing world into places of, safety, places of, health, places where those demons are tamed, is one of the great vocations of the 21st century. And anything that I can do with my research or with my teaching or with my advising to help those cities figure out how to deal with the problems that they face and to create the opportunities that are within them, that's just a tremendous, it feels like a tremendous honor to be able to do that. I will say the childish answer, and in some sense the truer answer, is that I'm ultimately, a curious teenager, right? I'm ultimately driven by my thirst for knowledge more than I am by anything else. And I just find, all the things that I work on, in cities in particular, but really, a vast swath of social science, to be just endlessly interesting and endlessly puzzling, and just trying to figure out the world is just again, it's a great blessing to me to have been able to spend my life doing this. This is a question which, as a social scientist, I can't feel very confident that I've actually accomplished anything in terms of this stuff. I think in terms of the message that I've done for the public, perhaps the most important one is to prize our cities rather than to fear them. And this is particularly important in a developing world context where the knee-jerk reaction always is to look at what's unpleasant in our cities and turn against it. And my larger message has always been to embrace those cities and to embrace fixing those cities, rather than to think, oh, we just want the people to stay on the farms. In terms of policies, certainly probably my largest, my voice has sounded largest in the American context on zoning, on land use restrictions, and on making the case that when we zone out new properties, when we make it more difficult to build, we are, zoning out opportunity. I don't think there's a one-size-fits-all to this. I think there are lots of great researchers who come in different shapes and sizes and with slightly different things. I think the two elements that I've talked about, the two personality traits that I've talked about, probably are necessary in everyone. One of which is curiosity, right? You actually need to want to understand the world in a serious way. And the second of which is, a predilection for high levels of effort, right? A desire to sort of work really hard. I think those things are much more important than genius. I think those are ultimately the key character attributes. But, you also have to be lucky, right? You have to be lucky, or at least you have to sort of seize your opportunities. I think it follows again from this point about learning from people around you, right? One of the reasons why I believe in this sort of the model of cities as learning machines, model of density as an ingredient in enabling collaborative chains of creativity is because I've experienced this myself. That this has been, in some sense, the story of my life, as I've been blessed with extraordinary colleagues, teachers, and students, and I constantly learn from them. That's part of the lesson to younger people, is to recognize that this is a huge part of the production process for new ideas, is to take in from people around them. But the other thing that's really crucial is make sure you're the kind of colleague, student and teacher, that attracts great colleagues, students, and teachers. Make sure that you're kind to people. Make sure that you act as a person of character. Make sure that you're someone who is, prized in the social web in which you live. And that's I think a thing that's often overlooked when we think about stories of genius, which often seem to highlight like lone wolves. I think that's much rarer in the real world than it is in fiction or in stereotypes of genius and creativity. Whereas I think it's much more common to sort of think of there being a web of talent that interacts with each other, where part of your job is to nurture that web.